Mr. Speaker, on day one of the Biden presidency, the president reversed many, if not all, of the successful border policies implemented by the previous administration, the Trump administration, that kept our nation safe, kept our border secure. Joe Biden ended Remain in Mexico, halted border wall construction, loosened asylum requirements, issued a moratorium on deportations, essentially telling the world our border is open, come on in. Meanwhile, Customs and Border Patrol, any visit that you make to the border will tell you, just by instituting Remain in Mexico, 75 to 80% of those trying to enter our country illegally would be deterred and would not enter. So these policy reversals led to, at the time, caravans of migrants into Mexico, in Mexico, wearing Biden thank you T-shirts as they approached the United States border. And since that time, Mr. Speaker, there have been 8.5 million illegal border crossings, as well as an estimated 1.7 million gotaways, over 10 million illegal entries, most of whom we don't have any idea who they are or where they are, throughout the United States of America. So why did President Biden take these actions? Ideological idiocy? Because what he did was anything but humanitarian or rational. Migrants made this journey, Mr. Speaker, here under false, deadly pretenses. People are drowning. People have drowned. People are drowning. Probably today, Mr. Speaker, people are drowning in the Rio Grande and under false pretense coming to our country. People are being killed. 1/3 of women, the reports are sexually assaulted. And at the same time, cartels, drug cartels, are getting rich. Coyotes are getting rich. And much of Mexico, thanks to the Biden administration's wonderful policies, is a gangland. And along with the suffering of the migrants, the American people are terribly suffering. During Biden's time in office, there have been over 300,000 American deaths from fentanyl and other opioids, which were smuggled across the southern border. Nothing to smile about. American teens and young adults are dying at alarming rates, and to date, this administration has done nothing to correct course. And we are experiencing all this locally. Don't we all know an individual, usually a young person, that has died from a fentanyl overdose? And while it is no match for the cost of life that has been lost, we cannot forget the immense financial cost our cities, states, taxpayers have incurred as a result of Biden's disastrous border policies, exponentially disastrous. The Center for Immigration Studies reports that an annual cost of Biden's immigration crisis to the United States is $452 billion of American taxpayer funds. And the Federation for American Immigration Reform notes that the cost to my home state, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, is $1.64 billion. And, Mr. Speaker, what about the crime epidemic? I mean, really? We have now something called migrant crime? And, Mr. Speaker, is there anything more horrific that we've seen from the Lincoln Riley situation? How an illegal from Venezuela made it across the border illegally, went to New York, committed all kinds of crimes, was let out by the weak, foolish, ideological prosecutors in New York, and then went on to Georgia and murdered a beautiful young girl. And to add insult to this injury, the Biden administration takes the American people for idiots by trying to blame this border crisis on Republicans and Donald Trump. After 3 years of Secretary Mayorkas and Vice President Harris and everybody else in the Biden administration telling us that the border is secure, and of course, 90% of the media. Well, Mr. Speaker, the American people are not buying it. The facts don't lie. Our eyes don't lie, no matter how many times they tell us they do. This unmitigated disaster is a direct result of this administration's weak policies, and it is the height of hypocrisy. And after causing this catastrophe, the idea for President Biden to go to the border today is clearly nothing more than a sad, sorry attempt to save him from a political standpoint. This trip is not about solving the border problem. It's about solving a political problem. That is getting worse. And perhaps as shameful, Mr.
The gentleman's
Speaker,
time has expired.
is Biden's attempt to blame this and protect our border for a lack of support for Ukraine. That, too, is outrageous. We can do both. The will of the American people matters. Let's not forget who we represent in our constitutional republic. I yield back, Mr. Speaker.